meeting about the importance of writing and how writing is different from speaking or similar to speaking. Are these similar or different?
Of course, they are different.
I'm not testing you. We are just sharing our thoughts.
I'm expressing my opinion.
Yeah, and I would love to hear more detailed opinion because I feel very dissatisfied with short answers.
Well, when we are talking about speaking, feeling, and writing, they are totally unrelated because sometimes you are feeling things, you are thinking about things, there are things going in your mind and inside your soul, but you cannot express it in words and you cannot talk about it. There are things that you are feeling, you are experiencing it as feelings. You don't have the power to express it in words or write it down on pages. So
are you claiming that words have shortcomings of expressing our feelings and emotions?
I'm not a qualified writer and I can't
you are
not use deep words with deep meanings. I just use simple language, and sometimes simple language will not connect you with others, will not connect your feelings or transfer it to others.
I think the major successful novels in the world in the 21st century have reached the global level because of the simplicity of the writing, not the complexity of thoughts, but the simplicity of writing that conveyed human impressions to people. And you do not have to complicate things because that is going to ambiguate, that is a word, I'm not sure, but that is going to ambiguate and create, ambiguate the impression the reader will have. And that is going to create this barrier of lack of, it's barrier or barrier, both, I think, between the reader and the writer. So what I suggest is that, I mean, do not demote yourself. Do not say that I'm not qualified. You're totally qualified for this kind of mission. And you just need to express it in your own way. And that's the whole thing.
I'm saying that because this task actually exhausted me. That's why I'm saying I thought it is simple and directed forward, but when I took my pen and I wanted to write what I feel and what I did, I couldn't write even one line. So there are a lot of thoughts, hundreds of thoughts and feelings came into my mind and I couldn't express it.
No, I think the best way we can do that is by alphabetizing, or you just, before we move to talk about that, you mentioned the word barrier and barrier. What was the reason that you said barrier or barrier? Is it because you heard it differently?
I heard it differently and I use it differently.
Well, using it and hearing it differently does not mean that you're wrong and I'm right and I am wrong and you're right. There are two versions for the pronunciation of this word, and I just checked that out because deep in my subconscious mind, I say barrier, but British people say barrier, and they're both completely complementing to each other, and they're, like, as we say in English, tomato, tomato. Going back to this kind of obstacle, which is the inability to express your thoughts in a logical or sequential order that just makes sense to the reader. Do you remember when you talked about the three things or three ideas or three topics that you just need to put them in a context and prioritize them and create a linkage between them? This is why we are talking on Zoom, because I want to draw a diagram here that there should be some joint, a little bit, and then a second idea, and then a little joint, and then a third idea, and then conclusion, and then intro. Intro. Okay. I think it's pretty light. I'm not sure if you can see it. But what I did, I think it's too bright for you to see. But I can definitely share. I think that's much better because it's not reflected on. So there's the intro, the first idea, and then the joint, second idea, the third joint, and then the fourth or third idea, and the last joint here. And when we talk about joints, we're just talking about grammar. And when we're talking about content of the first thought, that's just pretty much the thought. So the thought is what you want to say. Let's say, for example, thinking about thoughts can lead us to, for example, state 500 words about motherhood and why motherhood is a great feeling, and how you've been dealing and juggling motherhood so far. Okay, so the idea is pretty much like this. Okay. So what I want you to do is simply, by the way, I am not sure if you can hear me. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me, Zainab? Hello? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I thought that we are on Zoom, so you can hear me through Zoom. I'm not sure why you cannot hear me on Zoom. Let me see why you don't hear me on Zoom. So if I cut the Skype call, can you hear me on Zoom? Can you just try that?
On Zoom again?
No, don't log out. Do you hear me now? Hello?